Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Why Are We Like This, a Heartstopper podcast. I'm Ashley, she, her.
And I'm Alyssa, she, they. And today we are here to talk about Season 2, Episode 1, Out! It's real. It happened.
I feel like I'm still reeling from it.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
We are recording this on August 4th.
Yes.
Which means that it's been a day.
How many times have you watched this episode?
Twice. It was gonna be more than that, but I took a longer than planned nap. Well, I didn't sleep, so it was a rest. I laid upon the couch watching Grey's Anatomy to turn my brain off for a little while, and I was like, if I fall asleep, I fall asleep, but I did not.
That is what happened to me on Wednesday night. I laid down and tried to sleep because I knew I was going to be up at 2 a.m. to watch, and so I was up for roughly 29 hours before I slept.
Oh, God. See, that's the one thing that I will thank my body for. I was having a really hard time falling asleep on Tuesday night. And, like, you know how when you have to wake up at a certain time, like, the longer you're awake, the more stressed out you are. Like, I'm only going to get this, like, I'm only going to get 4 hours. I'm only going to get 2 out, right? I was in the, like, I was floating in the, like, oh, God, I'm only going to get, like, 2.5 hours of sleep mark. And I was freaking out. And, like, somehow, miraculously, I finally drifted off. And when I woke up, just, like, naturally, I was like, I am too well rested for it to be 2:30 in the morning. Fuck. And it was 7. And so I think it was my body's way of being like, hey, we're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
Because my alarm just didn't go off. Like, I must have, like, turned it off accidentally at some point. And I was mad about it.
I started to worry around, like, 12:30. But once it came out, like, the adrenaline took over. And I didn't, like, actually get tired until about 11 a.m. Okay. That's when I started to, like, I just, like, took my computer to bed with me and was like, I'm going to rewatch it in bed. And if I fall asleep, it'll do me some good.
Yeah.
And it did.
That's good. All right. So let's talk about the episode, shall we?
Yes.
All right. Season 2, Episode 1 was written by Alice Oseman and directed by A. Ruslin. And according to IMDb, this is the episode where, as his relationship with Charlie matures, Nick considers coming out to Imogen, but he finds it a lot harder than he expected. Elle tries flirting with Tao. Or as I like to call it, the one where Tao likes Hawaiian pizza? What the fuck? So I will say, this first 2 minutes I have seen about 15 times. So we start with, it's a shot of Charlie's wall, and it's half of the pictures from the photo booth at the beach day from Boyfriend.
Which was literally yesterday. I love this idea that they came home and, like, immediately put these pictures up on the wall.
Oh, totally.
So cute.
Adorable. I
also love that it starts out silent. Like, it's completely silent here. I mean, we have some, like, outside noises, but, like, there's no score or song right here at this point.
Yeah. Charlie's alarm is a vibrate-only alarm?
Okay. My note, in all caps, says, are we supposed to believe that this soft-ass vibrate wakes up a teenager?
My note is, sleeping Charlie awoken by a vibrate-only alarm. You are either a very light sleeper or you like to live on the edge, Charles Spring.
Truly.
No. What? No.
I could never. Especially as a teen. I slept so much harder back then, and I'm still a hard sleeper. There's no way a vibrate-only would get me.
I'm a fairly light sleeper, and this wouldn't do it for me.
You can barely hear it.
No? Oh my God. It stresses me out.
Also, it's 7:14 a.m., which I wonder if that's a significant number or if it just happened.
Yeah. I feel like they often do that. I don't know.
To make it, like, look not planned, maybe. But, like, this is an alarm, so it's a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, I do know people who will put alarms at like odd times.
Oh,
like,
me, for sure.
Like someone will do like a 7 at like, and like just like as it gets closer and closer to the actual time that you need to get your ass moving, they become much more frequent. But this again doesn't seem like that, because he is like out like a light. That's the other thing. He goes from out like a light to
Awake.
Up and ready to go.
Which, like, the day after you've got your first boyfriend, I guess you would be like, yes, ready to go see my boyfriend. Like, that part tracks to me, but I don't know. Also, like, for setting the alarm, I like to I set the hour mark, and I know I either need it to be like a first half of the hour alarm or a second half of the hour alarm, and I just like to just scroll and see where it lands and let that be the time that gets set. So perhaps he's similar.
Maybe, yeah, maybe he's just a chaotic alarm setter. Couldn't be me, but...
Oh, and there's a leaf by the picture frame.
Yep.
My heart.
So when he turns off his alarm, he has a text from Nick that says hi with a little heart, and then the music comes in.
Yeah.
And it's Shatter, but is it Maggie Rogers? Yeah, it's Maggie Rogers.
It is.
Yeah, so we have the like texting montage. Charlie responds, hi. Does being boyfriends mean we do good morning texts now? Which is adorable, because again, this is the morning after boyfriend.
And the flirting is strong.
Yep. Nick says, does that technically qualify as a good morning text? Because technically all I said was hi. Charlie says, it was first thing in the morning, so I think it qualifies. Good morning, boyfriend, with the little heart.
And this is when he finally is able to get his button up and tie on correctly.
And he is so happy, and it's like, I really like the ways in which it like parallels Meet in a lot of ways, without being like identical.
Yeah, for sure.
He's in the kitchen and he's texting, and he's got a bowl of cereal that he's not eating.
He is texting with the speed of every gay person on this earth.
And so obviously there's like more to this conversation that we don't see, because then it says, and what else might be in the small print of this job description? And I want to know what the rest of that I want to know how we got from good morning boyfriend to this. And then Charlie goes, kissing me many times per day. And
we hear that Nick replies, but we don't get to see it, and that is just rude.
It's cruel and unusual punishment. And then he's on the bus with Tori, and he's super happy, and we don't see what he's texting there, but we see that he's still texting. But she does,
and she gives us a big eye roll.
Yeah. And a sip of 100% pure juice. And then we get a very, very similar sequence to Meet of him walking to class, and it's, it hits different because we know that he's got Nick, and Nick isn't Ben.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, this is going to be different. He's going to go there to meet him, and Nick is going to be there. And then he walks in, and Nick is not there. And
not there. Just like record scratch, everything grinds to a halt. What the fuck? Yes. But then immediately they quell our fears because a pair of hands come right in front of Charlie's eyes.
Okay, before we dive into this part, before Nick shows up, I want to talk about the song.
Go ahead.
Because season 2, for like so many different characters in different ways, has this running theme of what you're feeling is valid and okay, and it's totally fine to not really understand it, but just to feel it and embrace it, And the theme is immediately introduced with this scene being paired with these lyrics. It says, like, I don't really care if it nearly kills me. I'd give you the world if you asked me to. I could break a glass just to watch it shatter. I'd do anything just to feel with you, which could have easily been, I'd do anything just to be with you.
Yeah, it still scans. So, like, you could totally do it. But that choice of just to feel with you.
Yes. It's not only giving us insight into, like, how fucking in love these two are and just, like, how desperate they are just to, like, be together all the time. But I also think that it's accurate that they're not they're not just being together, they're feeling everything together. They make each other feel things so intensely that when they are together, it is like a shared experience of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's really beautiful. And once again, it's another, like, they fucking knocked it out of the park with the songs and the music.
Yes, they did a really, really, really good job.
But yeah, so then Nick shows up, and then all of us freak out because we know what's coming after he puts his hands over Charlie's eyes.
Yep.
I did for sure think they were gonna, like, that he was gonna grab his hand when we got this clip. But he just grabs his wrist and pulls him into, like, a storage room.
Yeah.
Which, like, I'll take it.
Yeah. And he tells Charlie that he came out to Sarah last night and that it went really well.
Even though it looks like it's been 5 years for Nick.
Yeah, he's like, he got like a really good like sun-kissed glow at the beach. His hair is redisher, it's like more coppery.
Yeah, it is.
And he's aged like a year and a half.
When I saw it and he was like, I came out to my mom last night, the first thing that went through my mind was like the Titanic gif of like, it's been 84 years. Because that's what it feels like for us.
Yeah, it's really crazy to like make that choice to pick it up like right after.
The day after, yeah.
Because number one, I mean, like, it makes sense given the timeline of the show and like knowing that we need to get from spring to Paris and forward from there. But wow.
Yeah. Well, most of the cast looks pretty similar. Like, not all of them. I would argue that Nick and Imogen look the most different.
But like, and you can kind of explain it away with Imogen because her hair is different. And it's like, okay, yeah, we haven't really seen her in a bit, like, because we don't know like how long sports day was. Actually,
right.
I mean, she could have just redone her hair that weekend.
Yeah, it's true.
Because it's like the Monday after sports day.
Yeah, I don't know how long it was between like Charlie's birthday to sports day.
Yeah, just a lot of questions.
And I went back and tried to find some sort of indication of time between those two.
Yeah.
And I was not successful.
Yeah. It's been much longer than it is. And I do have to keep actively reminding myself, this is literally the next school day.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Charlie says, do you want a well done kiss?
And Nick is just like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, do you even need to ask? It reminded me a lot of his, like, yes, of course, or yes, obviously, I don't remember what it was, in Boyfriend, when Charlie asks if they're boyfriends. It's, like, very much that same, like, offended that you even have to ask tone.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
And so Nick gets his well done kiss and then realizes that kissing at school is a terrible idea.
The way that he says it makes me think that they had this conversation last night.
Yeah.
You know, like they had this conversation literal hours ago. And he's like, Charlie's the one that said it. And then Charlie was like, do you want to kiss? And he was like, yeah. And then he had to tease him about it. Like, kissing at school is a terrible idea.
Maybe it was even sooner, more recently. Maybe that was what the texting conversation we didn't see was.
Could be. Then we get a montage of kisses.
Montage, which I have dubbed the boyfriend montage.
Cute.
Just because it's like them just like being boyfriends. Notably, there's not a song, like there's not like soundtrack over this. It's just the instrumental score, which I think it's the first time that we have a montage that has just like score over it and not like a song with lyrics, which is interesting, but I love it.
It was the right choice, though.
Yeah, it worked really well. So they're kissing in Charlie's bedroom. And then they're playing Mario Kart in Nick's bedroom. And I just I tried. I couldn't get a good angle to figure out which characters they're using.
Yeah. I like when they're at the very beginning of the montage, they're like walking up to Charlie's house and you can hear them arguing. Nick's like, it's one of the first things I ever said to you. And then they walk in and he's like, you're not going to get distracted. And Charlie's like, yes, I will. And then neither one of them even bring their books up to the room. And they just like walk in and shut the door. And Charlie absolutely attacks Nick the second that the door is shut. And I'm like, yeah, of course he's going to get distracted.
I have a lot of thoughts about that when we get to family. A lot of thoughts.
On the Mario Kart scene, whenever Charlie like ruffles Nick's hair, that read to me as improv. Like Kit's delivery of like that was uncalled for, and the way that he's looking at Joe and the way that Joe like giggles, that reads very much improv to me.
Okay, but I love it. It works really well. Whether it was in the script or not, it is perfect. I don't have like very good notes. The rest of my notes are just Nick's room. Lots of kissing. Nick is literally bathed in sunlight. I cannot. Nick leaves Charlie's house. Fingers touch. Firework animation. I got really lost in the montage and I forgot to take notes.
I broke it down. So if you want me to go through it, I can.
Please do.
So after the Mario Kart part, we go to the bean bag where Nick is trying to sit on it and Charlie's like, I was here first. And he like shoves him off.
And then guess what? That would have been a perfect opportunity for lads, but we don't get it. Harumph.
There's a couple of spots I thought we were going to get it that we didn't get it. So
it is my biggest frustration with this season.
Okay, so then we get this scene of them running up the stairs at Nick's house, and I love that they're just like this entire montage. They are both like giggling nonstop. And then we get the like 4-way split screen where we get to see kind of all of these moments coming together. We get to see they run up the stairs. Nick has on that like green shirt. It splits. We see Nick in the top left corner in the green shirt, and they're like making out on his bed. And then in the top right, we see the rest of the Mario Kart stuff happening, and they start kissing over there. And then on the bottom right is the beanbag fight that turns into a makeout session. But my favorite corner is the bottom left corner, because it is so sweet. They're just like studying together and they look over and lock eyes for like a long minute. And then Nick leans over and kisses Charlie, and Charlie kisses him back. And it's just like a very sweet, like little moment of just a little pocket of love over there. And I love it. And then we get the like Nick showing up at Charlie's montage, right? So then we see he's showing up. And then we get Charlie reading on the floor, and Nick's laying next to him, and it looks like he's kind of like trying to read along, but he's not paying attention at all, and he like reaches over and gives Charlie like a little peck. So Charlie giggles and returns the gesture by initiating a full-on makeout session. And then we get Nick again at Charlie's door in the red shirt. This is... People like to talk about season 1 being like completely unrealistic, but I think this little tiny scene is the most unrealistic thing in the entire scene, because I have never once in my life had a makeout transition go that smoothly. Like, it's so well choreographed. The way that he like Charlie lays down with like his legs up, and Nick just like kind of perfectly slides in under him and pulls his legs over him. It's just like so smooth and not awkward at all. I was like, this is unrealistic. And then we get Nick leaving Charlie's house, and we get their little finger fireworks. And this shot of Nick standing there, absolutely drooling over Charlie's mouth. Like his eyes are locked on Charlie's mouth. He looks like he might just fall over, honestly. And then we hear like a couple of people outside, and that kind of snaps Charlie out of it. And he's like, okay, go on. Goodbye. Please leave. And Nick like giggles and walks out. And the way that he pauses at the mailbox and turns around and waves really hit me like in Girls, after he asks him out on the double date. And he leaves and he like walks out and he turns at the mailbox and like pauses and waves at him. I was like, oh, so cute. And so that's the end of the boyfriend montage. And then we get our trio of borderline outcasts, or Tobo, if you will, walking to school together. I love this exchange between them. I love that Tao is being playfully resistant, right? So he's like still not fully on board, but he is like supportive.
Yes. The true hero of the scene, though, is a silent hero, and that is Isaac. Isaac has no dialogue in this scene, but Toby Donovan is acting his literal face off.
Oh my god, the acting that Toby gives us this season is so good.
It's so good, and it's so subtle, and just like, also, Will and Toby get the award for best, like, meaningful eye contact during this scene, like, right at the end, where they both just, like, look at each other like, this is going to be a disaster, isn't it? And
And they share another one of those looks later.
They do.
There's a lot of, like, the two of them behind the scenes this season.
Mm-hmm. But to rewind to the beginning of the scene, we get our first Isaac book watch of the season. And I would like to thank Furva Shaw at Cosmopolitan for putting this list together so that I don't have to, and so that I didn't have to search like super crazy for it, because I just Googled it and it was right there from Cosmopolitan. So thank you. So the first book that Isaac reads this season is I Love This Part by Tilly Walden, which I haven't heard of, nor did I do any research into prior to this recording, because I ran out of time. But yeah, so he's reading that, and just kind of like of note, this is the only time we see him read this book, and there is another book in this episode, which we will discuss later.
He, like, gets Tao back on track when Tao's like, I mean, and he, like, reaches behind him and he's like, Tao. Like, I love that he's like whipping him into shape a little bit. He's like, be supportive, damn it.
Mm-hmm. But even before that, when Charlie goes, I have a boyfriend, and Tao says, yes, we're all fully aware. I know that it's only been like a few days, but how many times do you think that Charlie, instead of saying, yeah, I was talking to Nick or whatever, has referred to Nick solely as my boyfriend?
I don't think he's used Nick's name at all.
No. Yeah, it's my full notice. How many times do you think Charlie has referred to Nick as my boyfriend to Tao, Elle, and Isaac since they made it official? And why is it literally every single time?
Yeah.
It's a really good scene, and it very much does a good job of kind of establishing, like, things are good here. Like, the conflict is resolved, and things are genuinely good here.
And then they walk into this shop, and Tao is like, okay, if you're both sure that this is what you want and you're going to be there for each other, then it'll all be, it'll work out. And Elle walks in and catches, like, the end of this, which to me, if I had just heard that last sentence, I don't think I would have cottoned on to, like, what they were talking about. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, there's probably a group chat going on with probably the same conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, she, like, immediately starts giving Tao shit for giving relationship advice.
And he says, I know about relationships. I watch a lot of romance movies, so...
which is part of his problem.
It is part of his problem. And I also, but, like, knowing Tao, I'm like, what romance movies would Tao like? Because there's no way he's, like, a rom-com guy.
No.
And given his views on Moonrise Kingdom, I'm like, I don't think that you're a big romance guy.
I would imagine that Elle is, and that she makes him watch
That is a fair point. That is a fair point. Because, like, if he's watching romances, they're, like, tragic romances.
Right, yes. He does mention, like, 500 Days of Summer later, and I was like, I love that movie, but, like, damn.
Oh, I have notes on... I mean, I don't, like, literally have notes on that right now, but I have thoughts, which will be...
You will have notes.
I will have notes. I will try not to write an entire 5-paragraph essay about it.
We get an instant callback to season 1 with his rude. The battle over the apple juice is
so cute,
perfectly awkward.
I love it, and so here's my thing. So, because the big thing for Elle this episode is the, like, attempting to flirt with Tao.
Yes.
And it goes so much better for her when she's not trying than it ever does when she's trying. And I'm like, Elle, what you don't realize is that the two of you are already so deeply in love with each other that it doesn't matter.
She's trying to flirt when their entire relationship is already just flirting.
Yeah. I do love, though, that, like, the minute that Tao realizes what's happening, he's just like, take it. And literally runs out of the store. He literally runs out of the store. And it's so cute. I'm like, oh, you sweet baby angel.
I love how he like grins over his shoulder as he like runs out like
It's so funny. And then Charlie picks up a Dairy Milk Oreo chocolate bar.
And then he puts it back down.
And then he picks it back up again.
I would love to have seen Isaac's face a little bit more during that scene because he sits there and watches it all and we get like a short glimpse of it, but I would have loved, because he would be like smirking. He knew it was for Nick.
Oh yeah. Charlie would never buy himself a chocolate bar.
No, especially not first thing in the morning.
No. Ugh.
So then we cut to Nick walking up to the school. Another shot that is very similar to season 1 of him walking up. And you can see, before we hear the other characters or see them, you can see the stress like hit him as soon as he sees them all sitting together at the picnic table. You can like literally see his stomach drop.
Yeah. And Sai's just like, hey, Nick, and like waves over.
I love Sai.
When Nick ignores him, he looks so sad.
Yeah. And Otis like turns around and then fucking Harry is like actively trying to not like to get the attention back on him. He's like, stop looking at him. Look at me. Stop. Hey, look at me. Like
he calls him Captain Dipstick.
That was Ben.
Oh, that was Ben who said that?
Ben says that to Imogen. Yeah, it makes it worse, doesn't it?
Imogen, my sweet baby angel, sees him and just like runs over and is like, Nicholas!
I know, I put Nicholas in all caps.
I know. And then I just did my notes right. Also, Imogen, get the fuck away from Ben!
Mm-hmm.
And Imogen has something very important to show Nick.
This is when I started trying to do the math and looking up, because I was like, what is the timeline between Charlie's birthday / when their date was supposed to be and boyfriend? Because we know that we've just picked up from that. So I would say like...
But not for nothing. So when Charlie gives Nick the chocolate bar later, we know that this is their 2-month anniversary. So between the first scene and this day, it's been 2 months.
Are they counting that? Are they counting the beach or are they counting their kiss?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, the timeline is very confusing, but Imogen has a very adorable puppy now.
Oh my God, named Brooklyn. Come on over, Imogen.
That's where she wants to live someday.
Come to America.
I love it. She's like, I really want him to meet Nellie so they can be best friends. That is adorable, and I love it.
And then she's like, we're still going to be friends, right? I promise I don't fancy you anymore.
And then she says she fancies someone else now, and I scream very loudly.
Ugh. But I do love that she, like, zips her lips and throws away the key, because she has learned what talking about your crushes can turn into.
Yeah.
That had to be so embarrassing. She told so many people that they were together, that they were basically together. Like, I would die. I would die.
Oh my God. And she says, if anything actually happens, I promise I'll tell you. And if you have any romantic developments, I want to hear all about them. He so badly wants to tell her. It's just not the right time. Like, I agree that this would not have been a good time to tell her. Yeah. So, like, in this moment, I'm like, yeah, Nick, good call.
She is for sure fishing, though. And, like, Kit's acting here is so good. It made me think of what Eddie said about, like, the way that you can tell that he's, like, trying to keep it together so that she doesn't notice, but also at the same time, he's really battling with himself on should he just say it or not. And all of that comes across just in Kit's face. Yes, it's really, really well done. And so now then we go to the hallway. Nick's walking down the hallway, and we get Headmaster Stephen Fry on the announcements, which is literally just, I know his name is like Headmaster Barnes, but it's just Headmaster Stephen Fry. And he wishes everyone a happy Monday except for the year 11s. Because I feel like it wasn't so much that he wasn't wishing them a happy Monday. He was just saying it is a happy Monday unless you're about to go into your revisions. Which is such a revision is such a strange concept to me. Okay. It's not something that we had. Like, we did not have time set aside to study for exams. We had to continue with our regular classes and our regular coursework. And then at home we had to study and prepare for our exams. Or if you were lucky, your like teacher had
planned like the like review time in class. Because like I feel like most of because I have notes about this when they actually get into the gym, but I feel this like 2-week all day mandatory independent revision situation. Number one, I hate it. It sounds awful, and I hate it.
Who's using your classrooms?
Yeah.
Are they just empty? Like, what's going on?
I assume that it's like just like condensing resources kind of thing. But again, what the fuck are the teachers doing? Like, what are the teachers who are supposed to be teaching classes right now? What are they doing?
Georgie!
Oh my god. I have thoughts and feelings. But this, like, just sit in the gym in assigned seats where you're not allowed to talk? Because that's the other thing, is like, you should be allowed to study in groups with your classmates. That's just good pedagogy.
I should have known that you, the teacher, would have a lot to say about this. I do have another question. What the fuck is this system for assigning seats?
This is a system that makes Mr. Farouk's life a lot easier. On like the first day of school or the first day of a new class, like how you handle assigned seats and other things sets a tone in the class and with the students. Sure. And so I feel like this is a very efficient way of Mr. Farouk doing that, of being like, all right, find your seat, it's up on the board.
Yes, I get all of that. My question is, how did he assign these numbers? Because the names are in alphabetical order, but the numbers are like 12, 2, 46,
It's
7.
entirely possible that it's random.
What are the fucking odds he gets next to Ben is my other question. I'm so mad about it.
Yeah, that's a different thing. But I will say, in my experience with assigned seats, you're gonna end up next to someone you hate. It's how it happens. You never end up with your friends, and you always end up next to or near the person you hate. I, personally, in my 8th grade Spanish class, had to sit next to the same kid that I hated 3 marking periods in a row.
That sucks.
The teacher then realized what he had done and apologized and gave me extra credit.
Do you think that he thinks that they're getting along when they get in trouble for talking? Because they also get paired again in Paris.
Yeah.
And I would assume that if he knew that they were arguing, he would have been like, oh, don't put those two together.
Yeah.
But they walk up to their desk, and Ben he would be the guy who just throws all his shit as if he's entitled to the entire fucking area, even though it's a 2-seater.
Yeah. It's it's not even like a 2-person table. It's 2 separate desks that are placed next to each other, which is fine. But it's just like, yeah. But they're both pissed.
Oof.
But I do have a note about this. The fact that he doesn't immediately try and check and see who the other person is on that roster, very unrealistic. But
there was no pattern. It would have taken forever to find it.
Maybe. I don't know. But still, anytime that there's any kind of seating arrangement, the second thing that kids care about is, who am I next to or who am I near? And they are vocal about it. It's also reasonable that he might just be, because in the hallway before the scene starts, when he walks up and Headmaster is like saying that over the intercom and he sees the sign, all the color like drains from him. Yeah. You can tell that he is like so stressed about exams. Yeah. And so like he's probably on autopilot at this point. Yeah. Can we talk about Mr. Farouk now? Quiet! It's great. I love every time that he needs everyone's attention, he just yells quiet. And I love it. It works. And it is an energy that I wish that I had. It's a very different way of like very different energy to my energy as a teacher, but like there's just something about it that I'm very envious about. He introduces himself. He normally teaches science, but will be supervising their independent GCSE revision for the next 2 weeks. And his rules are simple. No chatting, no phones, no annoying questions. Perfect. When I tell you how tempted I am to reenact this on the first day of school this year, I'm not going to, because it's not worth it. But my God, I thought about it for a good 60 seconds. He says, break my rules and you go straight to isolation for the day.
As Nick is texting.
I know. While this is happening, Nick has his phone out, and right as Nick pulled his phone out, I was like, Nick, oh my God, I knew that Mr. Farouk was just like, I knew he saw it, and I knew he was very casually making his way directly to Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so anxious and so stressed out. Like, two parts of my brain, I was like, the former gifted kid, good student, pleasure to have in class part of my brain, and the teacher part of my brain just like meshed. And I was like, I was like, if I were Mr. Farouk, this is what I'd be doing. So I know exactly what's happening.
But also, okay, he normally teaches science.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a general review where they cannot speak to their peers. What if you need assistance and it's like English
math or English? Yeah, it's a very strange setup. And it's also not what's happening in the comics, so I can't even be like, well, it's like this in the comics. But like, also presumably Alice did this based, at least in part, on Alice's experience.
Yeah.
It's a very confusing arrangement. And I need someone who is British to tell me what's going on.
Yeah. It works really well if you're not overthinking it and trying to figure out all these logistics.
Okay, so here's the thing. As a storytelling device, it works great.
Yeah.
Practically 0 sense.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I just want my storytelling devices to, like, be grounded in some sense of reality and make sense.
Yeah.
So, while Mr. Farouk is sharing his rules, Nick texts Charlie that he nearly came out to Imogen this morning and says, also, I miss you. And then we get the ruler smack on the desk. And Mr. Farouk says, why don't I let you off with a warning, as I hadn't quite finished listing my rules.
And then he, like, squares up.
Yeah. This is something that only a very specific kind of teacher can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it is male teachers of a certain build.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it, because it's like, you have to come in and set those boundaries day one. Otherwise, especially with a gym full of fucking teenage boys.
Yeah. Oh, he does not want to fucking be here.
No.
He drew the short straw. Yeah. Like, this is something that the teachers don't want to do, because I'm willing to guess that all the other year 11 teachers, what they're doing right now is they're grading. Like, they're grading for the term, and they're getting all of their shit finished up. So, because they have all of this, like, extra free time. He's pissed that he's here and that he has to do this. I also, again, from, like, a logistical standpoint, don't think it's fair that it's one teacher for the full 2 weeks. Because if you had different teachers on different days, then you as a student could kind of, like, strategically plan, when the science teacher is covering review, I will focus on science so that I can ask for help. When the English teacher is covering, I'll do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is not the case.
He doesn't have to conduct the exams, though, at least, because Coach Singh does that.
Coach Singh does that, and she looks fucking gorgeous.
Looks so good. Oh my God.
We're gonna get there. That's a different episode, but
yes.
Oh my God.
I love how supportive Charlie is, even to Nick's, like, almost. Like, he almost came out to Imogen, but Charlie reacts as if he did. He's like, oh my God, you're amazing. Heart.
Also, with Charlie, form is noticeably less diverse than it was in season 1. The names are much more like standard English, what you'd expect.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Who names a baby Maximilian? That's what I want to know.
And also, so this is another, like, teacher brain logistical question, because Mr. Lang calls Nick's name, and again, it's a storytelling device to show us that Charlie's feeling sad and lonely. Mm-hmm. But it brings to my mind, like, how is attendance working? Do all of the form teachers just mark all of the year 11s absent, and then Mr. Farouk has his own separate attendance that he has to submit? Or, like, what's going on here?
I don't know.
It's weird. But yeah, we see Charlie's frequently used emoji when he's texting Nick. We have the red heart, we have the sunglasses, we have the like what I've deemed the party face. It's got like the hat and the noisemaker. Like the open mouth, like squinty eye smile, trans flag, rainbow flag, a star, the salutey emoji face.
Yes.
The heart eyes emoji, the like sparkly star, the two pink hearts, the like happy tears face, the partly cloudy, I guess, I don't know, do they like check in about the weather? Partly cloudy emoji, the teary eyes, like the like, you know, eyes welling up, the hearts around a smiley face, the angel face, the sun, and the cat face. And then I couldn't get any of the others because of the camera angle.
He's been celebrating.
Yeah.
I like that the cat still made it in.
Oh, of course. We go back to the gym. I don't want to go back to the gym.
My note says, are you just going to ignore me for 2 weeks then? Yes, fuck you.
Mine says, yes, you're independently studying, and if you get caught chatting, you'll go to isolation. And to be honest, I wouldn't count that as ignoring. I would count it as following the rules, you obnoxious fuck.
Oh, I hate this argument. I hate it so much.
It's stupid.
I didn't even do anything to you. Which, like, okay, fuck you. Nick's like, don't talk to me. He said, I said sorry to Charlie for what happened. And he's like, don't talk about him. You can tell that Nick is like, if he says Charlie's name one more time. And he says, wow, you know, if you're trying to keep it quiet, you should probably stop acting so gay for him.
Saved by the ruler smack.
Yes.
Because honestly, if I were Nick,
pop,
pow, right in the face. Mr. Farouk slams the ruler on the table and reminds them of the no chatting rule. Notably does not send them straight to isolation as he previously threatened. You're cutting your legs out from under yourself, Mr. Farouk.
And then he walks away and Nick immediately pulls his phone out. Like, you're just trying to go to isolation at this point.
I literally wrote, Nick, you're stressing me out. Just follow the rules, damn it.
He's lucky it's Mr. Farouk and not Mrs. Greenwood.
Oh my God.
But we see that 9 minutes have passed since Charlie has sent those messages. And then he's like, oh, hey, that's right. We used to do sports together last week before I quit.
I might have an idea. And he goes to Coach Singh's office and says he wants to rejoin the team. And Coach Singh is like on a lunch break or something, so she's like eating some like spaghetti or something. She's like, it's a salad. I couldn't remember. She's like mid-chew and she's just like smiling. It's like this big smile, but also trying not to like have salad fall out of her face.
Yeah. She's probably like, Charlie, if you come visit me on lunch one more time, because she was also eating lunch when he quit.
Yeah.
But she's so excited to have him back. And so then we cut to the rugby pitch and Nick is telling Charlie he doesn't have to do this. And he says he wants to. And he says he has missed rugby. And I said, when? In the one practice you missed and the 3 weekdays and the weekend that has been since you quit? Like,
well, he quit a little bit before sports day. So it could be like a week or two.
I know. I'm just being facetious. But like,
yeah,
it's like you haven't quit that long ago.
Yeah. Then he says, yeah, I love running around and falling over.
Which, like, accurate.
Yeah. And Nick says, oh, well, you are very good at the falling over part. And Charlie is offended.
Yeah, he shoves him. He's like, I'm good at the running, too. Don't you remember? That's the whole reason I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, my note just says, boys, stop with the obvious flirting in front of God and the entire rugby team. Because you're just out on an open field. Everyone can see you. And who is behind you? Among others, Harry fucking Green. But yeah, so Otis is like so sweet. He runs up and like asks if he's coming back. And he's like, yes, lad. It's so nice.
Yeah.
And then Sai and Christian are like coming over and they're like gonna try and talk to Nick. And Harry has to ruin it because he's a little attention whore.
Truly.
He cannot imagine anyone wanting to talk to anyone except for him.
I love the, like, head shakes and the look that Christian and Sai share whenever Harry, like, interrupts them and gets in between. They're like, let's just walk away. Like,
yeah, it's great. Yeah, my next note just says, rugby ensues. Coach Singh is unhappy because apparently they're not playing like a team, which I choose to believe since I have no idea what's going on.
Nick is a little distant with the team right now, and he is, like, once he got the ball, there was like 3 people open, and he refused to pass it and tried to go through by himself.
Yeah.
And so that sets everyone off, including Coach Singh. And I was like, this is so on brand for Otis that he gets so fired up about this, because he got fired up in season 1 about Charlie and the tackling. He yells at Nick like 4 times before Christian finally is like, Otis, just fucking drop it. Let it go.
He's very competitive.
Yes.
He's a very tiny, very angry boy.
I love it.
I love him. But yeah, they're not playing well, and it's a problem, which is gonna come up in later episodes.
And Charlie is worried about it.
Yeah.
So then we cut to outside of Higgs, and it's Tara, Darcy, and Elle. And I rewatched season 1 leading up to season 2 and realized Tara has had this tiny tie the whole time, and I did not notice.
I didn't either. Notice? I have no idea.
I love the tiny tie. So they're like egging Elle on about Tao. And this is where we get that line from the trailer where she's like, Tao is the worst person to have a crush on.
So Darcy suggests that being weird is how Tao expresses his romantic feelings, which, given future episodes, is 100% correct.
And she says, personally, I can relate to that. And then, like, smirks at Tara.
Yeah, because Darcy flirts by freaking trying to jump scare her girlfriend with a trumpet.
Yes. Also, before that, she says that Elle deserves to have the perfect romance like us. And I was like, oh, that hurts knowing, like, all of the issues that they're going to have this season and, like, the struggle that they're going to have. But,
yeah, it's a rough one.
But then Tao shows up.
Yeah, well, before Tao shows up, Tara suggests that she try to flirt with him. Which, like, Tara, I know you mean well. But this is the literal worst advice to give to anyone. Like, just flirt with them is terrible advice.
If they weren't best friends, maybe, but, like, they already have this dynamic. I think what she's trying to tell her to do is just try to move it in that direction just a little bit and see how he reacts.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, it's terrible advice if it's, like, a random person that you hang out with every now and then or something.
Yeah.
But, like, as close as they are, I can kind of understand why this is the advice.
Yeah. But I just think, like, in terms of, like, high school romance, like, telling someone to I'm like, but do they know how? Because this is the thing, is because it backfires miraculously for Elle. Miraculously is not the word I want to use. It backfires.
Yeah, like, horrifically.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. It doesn't go the way that she plans for it to. And by the end of the episode, she thinks that she needs to start putting some distance between them. But the thing is that everything that they're doing, just like in the natural progression of being friends with each other, but who also both have feelings for each other, is, like, working a lot better. And I mean, the big thing is that they both just keep getting in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that can be difficult to do, but I feel like at this age, who the fuck knows how to flirt when you're, like, 15 and in high school? But yeah, so I just don't think that for teenagers, I don't think that try flirting is very helpful advice. And, you know, in hindsight, at the end of the episode, it's just kind of like, you gotta let this shit just run its natural course. And, you know, at some point, you know, you'll be in France in the Louvre and you'll realize this is the moment.
Also, maybe talk to an adult, not another teenager who is just as clueless as you.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Which ends up being what works out for Tao.
Mm-hmm.
So for the listeners, Ashley and I haven't really talked about the season at all yet. So this is like simultaneously us covering this episode, but like talking about the season for the first time. Mm-hmm. So we do like, we have told y'all that this is a fully spoiled podcast, but you know, we're gonna be kind of jumping around a bit.
It's hard to rein it all in when we just got it, you know? Like
brand new. It's brand new.
That was definitely a like advantage we had going into this podcast, was the fact that we started it several months after the show came out. So we had seen it and knew it like the back of our hand. Whereas this is the day after season 2 dropped. So
literally hot off the presses.
Yeah.
Yeah, in hindsight, maybe we should have done like a general season 2 chat first and then done the episodes, but...
Yeah, like at episode 0, but here we are.
What are you gonna do? Too late for that. Right, so Tao appears and they start walking home and Elle like literally is like holding on to his arm. Mm-hmm. Like they're not like fully like, you know, being escorted on a promenade, but it's, you know, it's close. Mm-hmm. And so Tao says that everything is normal, which we all know.
And I screamed.
Which we all know on this show is code for I'm falling in love with my best friend and I don't know what to do about it.
Everything is normal. Don't look at me.
I'm fine. Everything's normal. And he like covers it by saying that his mom wants him to get a haircut. And my note here in all caps says, so do we all, Tao. So do we all.
Yes, when he says, my mom has been on me about getting a haircut, what he means is Twitter has been on me about getting a haircut.
Yep. Oh my God. It's so funny though, because my friend Kiara, you know, she has like a job and you know, significant other. And so she hasn't been able to just drop everything and watch this. And so she's, you know, like watching it like episode by episode.
Oh, what torture.
Oh my God, I know. When she was watching the first episode, she was like, oh wait, so they didn't cut Tao's hair? And then she got to this, she's like, wait, unless. And I was like, unless indeed, Kiara. Unless indeed. And like, really, it's killing me because there's things I want to talk to her about that I can't.
I really struggled on like our Instagram stories yesterday, being like, should I just go for it or should I chill out until people have to? And I was like, you know what? If the show is out and you haven't watched it, you should know to be cautious on social media. Yeah, I'm just going to go for it.
I normally subscribe to like a 2-week buffer rule, but like if you're following accounts that actively, it's like, this is what we are about.
Yeah, it's what we do.
Like if you haven't muted the spoilers, then that's a you problem. And like I'm saying that fully having been in the past the person who got a spoiler because I didn't mute like the tags or whatever.
I did put alerts before I shared like the first 4 minutes.
Yeah.
When it came out, I was like, ooh, I want to put this up, but I know some people are not going to want to watch it because we were so close. Mm-hmm. So I put up like a before the video post, another one that was like, the next one's a spoiler. Don't watch it if you don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Tao is so confused by her flirting.
So confused, but she's trying too hard. So it's, like, really unnatural.
Yeah. And, like, he knows that she's flirting, but also his mindset is almost worse than Charlie's about believing that she could be flirting with him.
Mm-hmm. And he, like, short circuits a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, are these fireworks or is this Tao's brain short circuiting?
Both. Fireworks for Elle, short circuits for Tao.
And then Elle's mom like lays on the horn, is like, hey, come on. And like she leaves and Tao's like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. He's just like looking around and like almost like sputtering.
Yeah. What? Again, his brain has turned to mush because it has short-circuited.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, the next scene. This is my favorite scene of this episode, I think.
I have a different favorite scene. We'll talk about it. And it's entirely because of a certain character's delivery of a certain sentence.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But, so we go into the locker room. Everybody's leaving. And Charlie's like, I got you a present. And pulls out the chocolate bar. And then we all squeal.
Mm-hmm.
Nick is like low-key panicking that he didn't realize. You can tell that he's like, fuck. And he does not have a present for Charlie.
Yeah. But I also, like, this goes back to, like, us saying, like, oh, well, what are they what is Charlie counting as the 2 months? Because a lot of people aren't going to count, especially when there's such a big gap, aren't going to count the first kiss. They're going to count when they make it official.
Yeah, but in boyfriend, Nick already thought they were boyfriends.
That's true. It's a little bit fuzz. This is why you need to, like, when you have the conversation of, are we boyfriends, or are we boyfriend and girlfriend, or are we girlfriends, or whatever the fuck, you need to establish what are we recognizing as our dating anniversary.
Mm-hmm. Charlie is, of course, like, brushing it off. He's like, I didn't want it to become a thing. And Nick is like, it could be a thing, though, because Nick is one giant rugby lad-shaped sap. And he, you know, he is the, like, I'm going to get you a gift every single month. It's another month I had with you. Like,
yeah.
That's
like, they'll be like, you know, they'll be like 80 years old and Charlie's still getting month-iversary presents.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm crying just thinking about it. I'm sorry. Never mind. We need to move on. I love the way that the, like, light radiates out from the chocolate bar as if it's like the most, like, as if it's the holy fucking grail.
Because it is to him in that moment.
Beautiful, and I love it.
And this is where I died. I, like, tweeted, I was like, I don't know if I'm even going to make it to the second episode. Because he, like, puts his forehead on Charlie's forehead and, like, takes a deep breath and he whispers, thank you. And now I can't breathe. I'm already at, like, a 45 on the scale. Like, I'm fully dead at this point. That scene with him whispering thank you is just like, ugh.
It's so sweet. It's so sweet.
And then they kiss.
And there's, like, the light, the, like, animated light that, like, engulfs them. And then the door slams.
And it's like, literally anyone could be on the other side of that wall. Harry could be over there. And y'all are just sitting over here talking about how it's your 2-month dating anniversary and how fun kissing is.
Yeah, and then, so then my note says, Charlie at a normal volume says, and that's why we shouldn't kiss at school. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't also talk about not kissing at school. I'm like, just a suggestion, maybe, to consider.
Yeah.
And Nick's like, but kissing's so fun.
And Charlie says, but you getting outed because we get caught kissing is not.
And Charlie's right.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, also, I'm just like, you guys are just not thinking about this pragmatically at all.
And you also openly flirt everywhere else in school, so...
Yeah. like, literally on the rugby pitch with Harry Green 10 feet behind you.
Yeah, like, approximately an hour ago.
Or, like, and we didn't even talk about it, but, like, when Nick does, like, come up behind Charlie and, like, put his hands in front of his eyes, they look like they're about to kiss. And I'm like, if anyone in that room with 2 eyes, fuck, if you have any sight, if you have any sight ability, like, unless you are 100% blind, you can tell that these 2 motherfuckers are wishing that they could make out in front of the entire school right now.
Then Nick grabs his arm and drags him into a closet. Like,
for the second time! That within a 7-day time span. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
they know. Everyone knows.
And especially because, like, of the way, like, obviously it's, like, at the end of the episode, but when Imogen, like, is like, is it about you and Charlie? She's like, it explains the date thing and the sports day thing. And I'm like, everyone fucking knows because you walked off of the rugby pitch, tossed the ball to your coach, grabbed his hand, and walked off into the goddamn sunset. Everybody knows. I love you guys, but you're stupid. Okay, no, I love you guys, but you're not being smart about this. That's okay. That's the kind of...
They're blinded, okay? They're blinded by their love. But so Charlie starts, like, reassuring him, and Nick's face, and he, like, shakes his head, and he's like, you're making me want to kiss you again.
Yeah, because Nick says that he wants to tell people, but it's hard to find the right time, which is totally valid, especially because his friends, right? Like, he's got, if we kind of, like, do some, like, concentric circles, his, like, friends, the next circle out is a bunch of pieces of shit.
Yeah.
It's Ben. It's Harry. Need I say more?
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie says that he doesn't have to tell everyone or anyone if he doesn't want to. And I have mixed feelings about this. Because I know that he's trying to be supportive and like, yes, Nick doesn't have to tell anyone. However, there's an element of like practicality that you kind of have to consider of like, okay, if you are going to be in this relationship and if you are wanting to be more open about being in said relationship, people are going to figure it out. And that's going to require some amount of telling people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really frustrating reality. I've had conversations like this with like people in my real life where I'm like, yes, it would be this really great ideal queer world if like no one had to like come out and you could just like be, but that's not the real world that we live in. And it's really difficult because Charlie basically in the same conversation is saying, you don't have to tell anybody, but also that getting outed because we get caught kissing is not going to be a good experience.
Right.
I'm like trying to find that. And I think what Nick is trying to do is finding that balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Charlie is just trying to be supportive here, but I'm like, yes, but you got to be realistic about it.
Also, this is at least the second time that we've heard Nick say he wants to.
Yeah.
And he's saying, you don't have to if you don't want to. Like, but he's telling you actively that he wants to. So
yeah.
It's almost like you're trying to talk him out of it at that point, which I think it kind of leans into some of Nick's anxieties that he has later in the season about it all.
Yeah. And I also think that it leans into like Charlie not wanting the attention that it's going to bring him by association.
Exactly.
Because
and that's kind of like where the talking out of, like trying to find that ground where both of you are safe and happy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Almost as if it is important to have conversations with your relationship partners.
What a weird concept.
What communication? What's that? But then Nick says that if they're out by the time they go on the Paris trip, they can kiss on the Eiffel Tower. And any thought of not telling people has gone out of Charlie's brain.
Yeah, he's just like...
he's just in like a French little fantasy.
Yes. Yep. Body is here, mind is in the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, yeah. No, like he's just like fully playing Paris by Taylor Swift in his head. Like he's got the like love montage. Yeah, that's what's
I am glad it wasn't Paris.
I'm glad it wasn't Paris or Lover. I was very much like, I do not like that these are the songs that people are saying it's going to be. We will talk about that later.
Yeah. We cut to the living room in the Spring house.
There's lots of sleepover snacks.
And we hear a slurp. I love that that's how we know she's in the room. Before we even see her, we hear the slurp.
Mm-hmm. She does not intend to join the sleepover festivities. She's going to be up in her room, which like is totally fair. You have siblings, right?
Yes.
Have you ever like partook in like a siblings like sleepover?
Yes.
What is the age difference between you and your
siblings?
We're
all a year and a half apart.
Okay, because I crashed my sister's sleepover and she's 5 years younger than me, and that was a time. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all pretty close in age, and so like I never really hung out with my younger brother's friends, but my older brother's friends, like I knew of them from school, and like we all would like ride to school together and stuff. So I knew them a little bit. So I hung out with my older brother's friends sometimes when they came over, but not like in this, like if it was like a sleepover in the living room, like this type of environment, I probably wouldn't have, but I grew up on a farm. So like we would like go ride 4-wheelers or like, like it was very different.
Yeah. Yeah. But apparently Jane and Julio are away for the weekend.
Yes.
Which doesn't happen often. And Charlie says that Tori could invite her friends over, but Tori says she treasures her alone time.
I feel that.
Yeah. I
think Charlie is coming out strong, like in this season, because he's so daring straight away to have friends. They didn't approve this. A co-ed sleepover while they're out of town? No.
Yeah. Unacceptable. Yeah. No. Problems all abound. Charlie, this is the first time that we hear Charlie saying that everything needs to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that comes up a lot in this season. This idea of Charlie needing everything to be perfect or saying that everything is perfect, even though, like, looking at it, we know that it's not. Right. And I think that it's an important thing to be thinking about, especially as we're considering, like, moving forward. One of my notes later is that Alice is planting seeds for season 3 early.
Yes. Yep.
She is taking the season 2 and 3 renewal and running with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are things that she is planting that, like, if you read the comics, we know aren't going to get paid off until season 3, possibly even season 4, depending on how that goes.
That's another thing, is that they might move it along a little bit more in season 3 just because we don't know. We don't know if we're going to get a season 4.
Yeah, but also, not for nothing, depending on how well this does, I wouldn't be surprised if they greenlit season 4 right out the gate.
I'm not going to think about it. I'm refusing to put any investment in it because I don't want to die.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen.
Yeah. But yeah, so we see this kind of starting to appear here, and we can see Tori starting to be worried about it, which she is right to do.
Yep.
And then Charlie explains that he's helping Nick come out to one of his oldest friends. And I just want to know what the conversations with Tao and Elle and Tara and Darcy and Isaac were like in the lead up to this.
There weren't any.
There weren't, because they have no idea what the fuck is going on. Like,
no, they're like, did you invite someone else? Like, why did you not tell them that Imogen was coming? Why would you just spring that on them?
Yeah, like, especially Imogen, of all people.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I guess he probably doesn't. Anyway, I'm going to talk about that later because there's a scene coming up.
Yeah.
But I love that. Okay, so Nick rings the doorbell. Charlie goes to get it, and he walks in. He says, I made cupcakes.
Yes.
Nelson cupcakes have entered the chat.
I want some Nelson cupcakes.
Yeah, they look good.
They do. So we see that Tara, Darcy, Isaac, Tao, and Elle are, like, also all here. So because I've only watched it twice, I haven't, like, picked up on all of the little, like, bits of conversation that are happening. But Tara says, if you were a worm, that's weird. Which means that Darcy asked Tara if she would still love her if she was a worm.
Yes. I was like, yes, we're getting the worm discussion.
And of all of the characters, Darcy would be the one.
Yes.
She would have seen a TikTok.
Yeah, 100%.
And been like, I'm going to ask Tara that and see what she says.
Yeah.
And
also, before everybody shows up, though, when it's just Nick and Charlie hugging, Tori is their number one fan.
Yes!
She's just like, just grinning and drinking whatever she's drinking.
She's all of us watching that scene unfold.
My God. I was like, she's their number one fan. Mm-hmm. I love it. But yeah, so I also squealed at the worm line.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I kind of catch is that I guess Tao's mom gave him some bao buns.
Yes, which I had to Google.
Yeah.
They sound delicious.
Yeah. But they are Elle's favorite. Mm-hmm. Specifically, Tao's mom's are Elle's favorite.
Yes.
Isaac tries to, like, throw a piece of popcorn into Tao's mouth, and Tao doesn't catch it.
Yeah, I love how Isaac's like, it's the height. You got to get the height, and then throws the flattest throw.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love Isaac so much in all of this. But yeah, so the conversation that happens is that Elle says she's going to move into Tao's house just so that she can have his mom make these bao buns for her every day. And Tara and Isaac agree. Mm-hmm. They all want this food every day. And Tao's just like, well, we only have one spare room, so... And this time, I think this is good. She goes, so we can share your room. And Tao nearly has a stroke.
He really does. He really does. I love that this is, like, such a hypothetical joke of a conversation, and he's like, no, my mom would never allow that. We can't. What? No. Help. Someone help me. Get me out of this conversation.
And Tara helpfully does by saying that Darcy's mom hates people coming over. Mm-hmm. But then Darcy, like, hears that and is like, we are not talking about my family.
Yes.
Uno reverse card. Tara's mom lets us have sleepovers all the time.
Yeah, we get this, like, it's like a fraction of a second where her face like kind of freezes up, and then she's like, but we have sleepovers at your house. Like,
yeah,
move on from that conversation.
Like all throughout this, we have these little moments of like Nick and Charlie like bumping up against each other. Like at first it's their knees, and then it's their shoulders, and then their fingers. And it's just so sweet.
I love this so much. I know I talked about it when we recorded the trailer stuff, but like the fact that here we are again in Charlie's living room on this couch side by side, and he looks down and he wants to touch Charlie. This time he can, and he does. Mm-hmm. And we get like full on like little firework sounds instead of just like the little hovering glow and hiss that we get in season 1. Yeah. And it's just like, they've come so far. I love it so much. And their little faces, the way that they're like smirking at each other.
It's so cute. And we get like a little, like we get a shot of Isaac, who is kind of looking around and seeing like Nick and Charlie being all like coupley, and Tara and Darcy being all coupley, and even if they don't know it yet, Tao and Elle being all coupley. And he looks annoyed. Like, not even sad. He's like a little bit like irritated by it for a brief moment. I feel so bad. I just want to hug him. Like, he's really feeling the seventh wheel feelings at this point. But also Isaac Bookwatch, he's finished his previous book and he's now on to a new book, Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Ayamide.
Cool.
Which is a book that I have heard a lot of very good things about, and I just haven't picked up yet.
Do you know the premise?
Yes. Okay. So Barnes and Noble description. When shocking secrets are blasted out to students at Niveus Private Academy via an anonymous texter, 2 students' lives are turned completely upside down on the cusp of graduation. However, they soon realize that ACES happens to only be targeting Black students. In fact, the only 2 Black students in the elite private school. This twisty ride of a thriller will leave you reeling as you uncover the disturbing secrets lurking in the dark corners of the school and will linger with you long after the last page.
Okay, I found a different blurb that I think ties it into this scene really well.
Yeah.
It says that the book has sex and relationships and sensual encounters between gay, queer, lesbians, bisexual, and heterosexual characters on every single page. So he's literally surrounded by couples, including in his reading right now.
And that ties in really, really well with some things that transpire in later episodes.
Yes, it does.
Cool.
And this is where I have my rant of why did no one tell anyone that Imogen was coming? Like, why?
Yes. However, this comedy of errors does make for some excellent acting.
I still think that this line could have been given to us.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that. I'm not even talking about Darcy's line. I'm talking about Isaac's face. Isaac makes some very good faces. Anyway, the doorbell rings and everyone goes to see who this is.
Yeah.
And Imogen is there, and she seems a bit intimidated.
Yeah, a little overwhelmed. Well, first of all, every single person at this sleepover just answered the door.
Yeah.
I would also be intimidated.
Yeah. So Nick tells Charlie to give her a tour of the house.
Yeah.
Which mostly, I think, means just taking her to the living room so she can put her stuff down.
And you can hear him be like, there's snacks. And on this tour, you will find snacks.
And Tara asks, she's like very like calmly and subtly like, so does she know about you guys? And at this point, I'm like, oh, no one knows what's going on here.
Yeah.
It's
a bad idea. Everyone should have been involved.
It's a disaster waiting to happen.
It really is. And he says, no, we're going to tell her tonight. And then Darcy.
It'll be fine. She's an ally.
Kizzy's motherfucking face is so perfect in this shot.
It's perfect.
I cackled so loud.
I have a note about it, though, just based on the way that Nick, Tao, and Isaac react.
They have no idea.
No idea what's going on, right?
No.
It's great.
They're so confused.
Because all 3 of them are like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. Isaac's like, Is she? Like, do we know her?
Yikes. Yeah.
We know she wanted to go out with Nick, and that's all we know.
Yeah. It's great.
It's a perfect scene.
Yes. But yeah, like, why do people not know that this is the plan? I feel like that should have been discussed. Like, hey.
Especially this group of people. They're so awkward and like,
and also,
there are so many ways that this could go horribly wrong.
I also, again, with the timeline, I wanted, like, how much do they know about, like, how important Imogen is to Nick?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, how good of friends they are. Because...
yeah, we've seen all that, but they haven't.
It's really not clear, I think.
I mean, and, like, maybe Charlie has said...
yeah,
because I'm sure that they talked about, like, they all know that they're dating now. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that they had an Imogen chat.
Probably, yeah.
Because that was literally happening at the exact same time that Nick and Charlie were happening.
Yeah.
So
then we go into the kitchen, which is, this is, like, probably, you know, like an hour or so later. And they're, like, doing dishes or something. And Imogen says that Nick's friends are so nice and wants to know how he met them.
Again, she's fishing.
Yes, this is, like, the definition of swing and a miss from Nick, though.
Yes. Yeah, it is. He's so close.
I guess it was Charlie first. Because me and Charlie, we're, like, you know, we're in the same form group.
There's a pause after, you know, though. He's like, Charlie and I, we're, you know, in the same form group.
Yeah. And, yeah. And her face, she's like, cute!
Yeah, she gives him a good, like, few seconds to be like, that's all I'm gonna get. Okay,
that's
cute.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, mercifully.
Yeah, they call for the pizza. Yeah.
Yes.
And Charlie instantly comforts Nick. And Nick says, I don't know why it's so hard to just say it. Which, God, it breaks my heart because it's so relatable. Like, I tried so many times to tell my mom. I'd work myself up about it and like,
yeah,
it's gonna be today, and then I would just freeze up. It just like wouldn't come out. It's so hard, and I just want to hug him. But luckily, he has Charlie to do that.
Yeah. And then we have this Tao and Elle scene in the garden.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. And Elle says that she's like going through like a sketchbook, and she's saying that all of her art is bad. Tao emphatically disagrees. And
she says none of it is meaningful.
Yeah, and that it needs to be amazing so that she can get into art college, which, again, is confusing. Because college and sixth form are kind of the same thing, but I think it's slightly different.
Yeah.
And I didn't re-listen to the Georgie episode before this.
So it's like college versus university. College is like a more specialized sixth form, and university is what we think of as college. Okay. But rewatching this after seeing the full season, like her saying like it has to be meaningful and knowing what she lands on, is like stab to the heart.
I did not think of that. Oh my god. Tao just says that Elle needs to get inspired and offers to be her model, which again,
flirting.
Yeah. And then Tao tries to do a very, very, very bad, very, very bad Kate Winslet impression.
So good.
Draw me like one of your French girls. And he's like laid out like Rose in that scene in Titanic. Which, by the way, Tao definitely hates Titanic, right?
I think he hates Titanic, but can appreciate the masterpiece that it is. Like the cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah.
They almost kiss.
Well, yeah, because she, like, agrees to draw him and, like, starts directing him. And again, it's this more natural flirting that, like, actually, like, you can see, like, you can compare this to where she's playing with his hair. Like, that was really awkward. This is much more natural, and it almost leads somewhere. But these motherfuckers get in their own goddamn way.
Mm-hmm.
Elle says that she'll order their pizzas and asks if he wants Hawaiian. And all of the redemption points that Tao has earned from me so far in this episode, gone.
I agree. Ugh.
Disgusting.
Not good.
Like, granted, I don't like pineapple in a good situation,
Oh, I love pineapple. Just
Don't
not on
like
my pizza.
pineapple, but yeah, just the idea of even ham on pizza. I'm like, I'm a plain cheese girly though, or like a white pizza. I like a white pizza.
Ooh, white pizza's good. But this makes me think. Okay, when they say they're going to order the pizzas, Imogen says she's so ready for pizza, and in the background you can hear her say she wants ham, blah blah blah.
Yeah, ham and mushroom.
And then Elle says she's going to go order their pizzas.
Mm-hmm.
Are they all getting their own pizza? Where did they get this money? How do these kids have so much money?
I'm wondering if they're like personal.
They're not. We see the boxes later.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I don't know.
Or maybe it's a TV show and money isn't real. But
that's true. That's also true. Yeah. But yeah, like for something like this, you order like a large cheese and a large pepperoni and you call it a day.
Maybe they're doing halves.
That's possible.
They could be doing like half, like the ham one, half mushroom and ham, and then half ham and pineapple, right? They could do that. Mm-hmm. There's ways to do it. I just was like, are they all getting their own pizza?
Yeah, it's interesting. When Elle walks away, Tao is like so mad at himself. He's like, God damn it, I'm such a fucking idiot. Like that's his face and his internal monologue.
But so we cut to the living room and everybody is dancing. And this is such a cute scene.
Oh my gosh. Tara trying to like pull the book out of Isaac's hands to get him to dance.
No, ironclad grip. He's like, you are not taking this book.
Absolutely not. This is my saving grace in this moment. Can't relate because I would totally put my book down to dance. But like also, I would be Tara in this scene. I am the Tara of this scene.
Yeah. So she asks Imogen and my heart melts. So I love seeing Imogen dancing with them and like having a good time.
And I love that it's Tara who's doing this because throughout the season, we see Tara being the one to like make sure that like Isaac and Imogen are included and that it's not just like these insular relationships, which is really sweet. And it's like, yeah, you can sometimes get caught up in that, like even when you're in a big group.
For sure.
And, you need to, still be conscious of the fact that you've got other people who are with you. Right.
Yeah. It can't all be double dates all the time.
Yeah. Shout out to Kiara, who was the perpetual 3rd/5th/7th wheel when we were in college.
So then we get the second time that Imogen is begging Nick to dance with her, and he's like, no.
Yeah. I don't dance.
I'm on the couch with my arm around my boyfriend right now. I'm not going to get up to dance.
Yeah.
He looks so uncomfortable.
Yes. He is saved by the arrival of pizza.
Okay. Before the doorbell rings, we get the shot of them because Imogen is like trying to get him to dance. They're all being absolutely ridiculous behind her. Like, tell her, you have to tell her. Like, you're gonna fuck this up. I need you to calm down. I was expecting Charlie to like rip into them about it. Yeah. Because his whole thing is don't take this away from Nick. Like, let him do it on his own time. Don't pressure him. Mm-hmm. Like, he says that later in the episode. Like, I don't want him to ever feel pressured. Like, this is pressure. This is a lot of pressure. And I'm surprised that he didn't say anything at all.
Yeah. And especially it contrasts so much with when he ends up actually telling them, where they're like really supportive and like, yeah, you got this. It's a very different, this is a very like urgent, like you need to tell her right fucking now energy. And it's like, Nick does not need this shit. Right. You are his friends. And then Nick goes out to the garden where Tao still is.
Pouting.
Yeah, pouting to let him know that the pizza's there. I love that Nick just keeps trying to bond with Tao and Tao just finds a way to shut it down.
Yeah.
Because like they're talking about how Elle's thinking about going away to this other school for sixth form, and Tao's like she's gonna get in, but she's still worried about it. And Nick asks if it's gonna be weird for them if they're apart. And this is where I wrote Alice is planting those season 3 seeds early.
Yeah.
Because this is something that we're seeing in the comics that are like the recent updates of like him not knowing what he wants to do, where he wants to go to university, and like his concerns about being away from Charlie being a big part of that. So I'm like, you are taking this 2-season renewal and you are running with it.
Yeah. As you should. But also, like, this is so Tao to, like, infer the meaning and, like, not even give Nick a chance to, like, explain what he was saying. Yeah. He's like, what do you mean? No, we're not dating, we're friends. And he just, like, fucking freaks out. And if this interaction had happened in season 1, I would have been mad about it. I would have been like, fuck you, Tao. But instead I'm like like, it's just so funny.
Yeah, it is. No, and especially, like, the delivery is so good because he's like, she's my friend, she's my best friend, and it's none of your business. Like,
and then he stomps, like, away
because he can't.
Yeah,
he's lacking the vocabulary for where their relationship is right now.
Yeah,
and the only way that he knows how to deal with it is to just, like, be huffy and puffy and storm off.
So funny.
What are they watching in this?
I could not figure it out. I was gonna Google the dialogue, but I didn't have time.
Yeah, because it's something about, like, béarnaise sauce. It's definitely American.
They say, like, only if you tell me what béarnaise sauce is, and then there's like a laugh track, and it's like, what is this?
Yeah. And also, like, not for nothing, this dialogue sounds kind of bad and the delivery is kind of bad. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was written, like, if it's not part of an actual show and it was written for the episode and they just, hired some, like, whoever people to do it. And then while they're watching, Imogen asks where the bathroom is, and Nick sees this as his opportunity. So he's like, let me show you. And he, like, lets Imogen kind of points her in, like, the direction of the stairs. And he, like, turns around and everyone's like, you got this! Yeah. Like, Darcy's like, go. Like, this is cute. I like this. It's sweet. It's encouraging. Isaac just gives him, like, a big smile and a thumbs up. It's really sweet.
This is beautiful, but the earlier stuff was too much.
Yeah.
Like, they were laying it on way too thick, and they need to remember that milkshake cafe discussion where Elle was like, just because y'all are ready doesn't mean I am. Yeah. Like, just because they're all out doesn't mean that everyone is ready to, like, tell everyone everything, like, let him take his motherfucking time. But I think that this was a good decision to get, like, to take her and have one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, no, like
even without Charlie.
I don't love the like, let me show you where the bathroom is, because I'm like, this bitch gotta go. Let her go.
And then he stands in between the bathroom and her, so she can't go.
And I'm like, this is stressful.
Like, let her pee first, and then talk to her before you go downstairs.
Oh my God. But it's great, though. It is, like, the perfect Nick Imogen scene, because he's like, there's something I want to tell you, and he, like, starts trying to explain, and she just word vomits. Is this about you and Charlie? Oh my God, I should have let you say it. It's kind of obvious. And, like, it totally makes sense with the whole date thing and the sports date thing. You didn't like me because you're gay.
I love it. I love it. Her delivery is so good, too.
She's great. It's perfect. And then Nick's like, well, I'm bisexual, actually.
Yeah, and there's, like, this, you see her face, like, slip, and you can tell she's like, this is about Nick, and then you can see her, like, come back to the present before she just hugs him.
Yeah, so sweet, though.
She says, I'm sorry, I don't actually know how to react. And he says, this is good. And I'm like, yes, if you don't know how to react, like, just be supportive. Love. Just be supportive, and then the rest will fall into place. So that was really good. I love the part where she's like, is it about you and Charlie? And then she smacks her mouth, like, fuck, shit. I relate to that. Like, like, you can genuinely tell that she feels bad, that she just, like, got caught up in her emotions of it all, and it just, like, she just opened her mouth, and, like, but she's learning a lot from all of these experiences. So also, when they go up the stairs, we get the shot of them, like, their feet going up the stairs. Why do they have their shoes on? You're lounging on the couch and stuff, like, blankets are out, you're watching TV. My shoes would have been long gone.
Yeah. And also because we very frequently see Nick and Charlie take their shoes off when they first go into Charlie's house. So I think his house is carpeted too. Ugh.
Whatever. Another note on the great acting here. I love her face when he's like, okay, well, I told you about Charlie, so now you have to tell me about your crush. And her mouth just like drops open and she gets really awkward. Like, such a perfect acting decision to be like kind of like swaying back and forth, like,
yeah.
And then she says, okay, fine, it's Ben. And the music dies. The Nick's face just like completely crumples. I wish we could have seen, like, I want to see that deleted scene. Like, how did they get back downstairs from that?
What?
Yeah, like, what'd he say?
Yeah.
Maybe she was like, okay, get out of my way, I have to pee now. Like,
yeah, and he just like
went
back downstairs. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. So then we go to the living room and everyone is either asleep or trying to sleep. And Elle and Tao are like on opposite sides of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And Elle like tries to look over at him and he just like rolls over.
I know, like, is this, did he see her look at him and this was his reaction? Or did she just happen to look over at the time that he was huffy and puffy?
Really?
Because I don't imagine, like, they didn't fight. Like, there's no reason for him to like roll his eyes and scoff at her like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the motion he was in and she happened to look up and see it. And then she was like, oh, okay, he's got his headphones in. He's rolled over. I can open up to Tara and Darcy about this now.
Yeah. And so she does. She says that the flirting didn't work and that she thinks that she needs to try and get over him. And I'm like, Elle, my sweet baby, that's not how this works. Number one, she gave it like 2 days.
Yeah. And also, like, there were signals. Like, he gave signals back. It was just awkward, and y'all didn't know how to proceed.
Yeah. They just keep getting in their own ways.
Mm-hmm.
But Tara and Darcy, like, hug her, and they're just, like, there and, like, supportive. And, like, they don't say anything. Like, they don't tell her, like, you should try this, or they don't agree with her. They just are there. And I love that. And then
we pan down to this shot of Nick and Charlie, again, that we got from the trailer. And I was like, I knew it. I knew these dorks were sitting there next to each other, texting each other. Like, they could just whisper.
Yeah. But this is, like, really cute. I've also totally done this before.
For sure.
You know? But, like, Nick just texts, I told her.
Which, like, she told you, but okay.
Yeah. It counts. Leave him alone. And Charlie says, OMG, with 7 hearts. Yes, I counted. That's like my whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick says, coming out is a lot harder than I thought. Charlie just reaches his hand over and Nick takes it. And it's just really sweet.
This is one. Okay, so I've mentioned this a couple of times in this episode already, but a lot of the, like, negative feedback that Heartstopper gets is that it's, like, unrealistic. Like, it's too rose-colored, right? And I think that Nick's optimism around coming out in season 1 is, like, a big part of that. Like, people think, like, oh, he's just going to come out, it's going to be sugary sweet. And it's interesting to see how they have flipped that in season 2, where Nick is, like, actively coming out, but he's really struggling and finding it really stressful. And Charlie is the one who has the rose-tinted glasses, who is saying, like, he can protect him and keep him from all the bad stuff. And, like, we'll get to that later. But, like, it's just interesting how it's completely flipped in this season.
Yeah.
And then you know that they just, like, held hands all night for the rest of the night. Yeah, so cute. And we didn't say Imogen and Isaac were, like, curled up together on the couch.
So cute.
But yeah, so this is where we obviously are laying the seeds of, like, Nick is really, really gonna fucking struggle this season with coming out. And Charlie is gonna struggle to be realistic about it.
Yeah. And then we have the next morning where everyone is leaving. And, like, they're all, like, giving Charlie a hug and saying goodbye. And Charlie is thanking everybody for coming. And Nick is the last one to leave. And this is so sweet.
I love that they all waited for him. Like, they're all going to walk out. Like, they're going to all travel together home.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, and they waited for him. Like, I feel like season 1 Tao for sure would have already been walking.
Oh, no, I'm gone. But, so he, like, gives Charlie a really big hug. And he, like, goes to leave. But he like kind of looks and is like, oh wait, all of these people know it's safe, and he turns around.
We get the leaves circulating.
Get the leaves circling, and he kisses Charlie
for a
good while, yeah. And then Tao, I love that it's Tao.
It would be. Of course it's Tao.
Just very dramatically.
But when we cut over to him, he is cheesing so hard.
Yeah, it's so... Oh my god. Tao has come quite a ways in like a week.
The week it's been. He's making a lot of positive changes, like actively making a lot of positive changes this season. So
yeah. And it doesn't feel out of nowhere because we did get the like resolution of everything with him and Charlie, and like also a lot of his like issues are resolved because he knows that Nick and Charlie are together.
Exactly.
So it kind of all comes together. So it's like, all right, this is good growth.
But I also think that he's realized kind of like how harsh and quick to shut down he is about stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff with like even with him and Elle later in the season and stuff where you can see him actively reframing what he's thinking to make it not so reactive, you know.
And then Darcy.
She's like, wow, we can't believe people think you're straight. And I wrote in all caps, that's what we've been saying for over a season now.
Yeah.
And Charlie looks so happy. Sweet boy.
Then we go to a scene that I love.
Yes, and I was nervous for this.
Yeah, this scene takes us for a ride, but let's just go into it. So it's like some other day. Jane and Julio are back, and she says that she signed the form for the Paris trip, and they're just kind of like having a conversation about the trip. Charlie says it's a joint Truum Higgs language students trip.
Julio.
Well then, your Spanish GCSE will come in very useful, which... I have 2 notes on this. 1, excellent joke. 2, why is this trip open to all of the language students and not just the French students? Like, what is a student taking Spanish or Italian or whatever other language going to get out of this?
Yeah, I know, because like they have to take that like little quiz before they go on the Eiffel Tower. And
where they're like,
Imogen and Sahar are both like, I don't take French. I have no idea. How does this work?
It's so, oh my god. I like this. I like had this thought at first, just like with this, you know, little interaction. And then when we get to the Eiffel Tower where they have to like do the translations before they go up, I'm like, why is this not just for French students? Like, what the actual what?
Yeah. I think it's interesting that there doesn't seem to be much of a conflict around Paris at all. It strikes me odd that Jane is not resistant in this at all. She's like, oh, I signed that form, so you're good to go, without any animosity. Like, they have not fought about it or anything. So it's just, she strikes me as the person who would be like, like, do you really need to do this? Like, you're not even taking French, Charlie. Like, you know?
I wonder if that conversation has happened already.
But she doesn't, like, I feel like if it had, she would have been like, I signed the form, you know? She's more like, oh, hey, I signed your form. Like, it doesn't sound like there's any animosity in it, like she had been worn down, you know?
Yeah.
But I like Jane in this scene.
Yeah. I actually, in the next episode, have some hot takes about Jane as well.
Ooh.
We'll talk about it. I spent like 10 minutes trying to make a post about it and then just
I do that. It's like, no, I gotta let this go.
Yep. So in any case, so Charlie decides this is the time to tell his parents about Nick.
Okay, but also he's pouring this bowl of cereal. Did you clock how much milk he puts in this? Because it's barely any at all. It's like he's making a cup of tea, the amount of milk he puts in. He just like dash of milk. Like, I mean, I guess we know he's not going to eat it anyway, but
that's true, yeah. So Jane and Julio are confused and surprised at the revelation that Nick is his boyfriend.
Julio is so funny.
Well, before we get to Julio, Jane is just, like, digging herself into a hole. Well, he's a very sporty, laddish sort of boy. I wouldn't have assumed that he was gay.
She is, like, fully shocked.
And I'm like, I'm willing to believe it because they just like go up to his room.
And like, we all know why, but it's just so funny to see her so flustered.
Mm-hmm. He's like, being gay has nothing to do with that. And actually, he's bisexual.
Can we talk about how many times this season we get to hear, I'm bi actually. He's bi actually. Even when he comes out, he puts, I'm bi
on the
actually.
Instagram. I love it. I love it.
Kiss.
This show will not stand for bi erasure. No, and then Julio, gay or bisexual, Nick is banned from sleepovers from now
immediately. And Tori has come in at this point,
Tori has come in, which is very important because she is my favorite part of this
She's
entire
so funny.
Because Charlie's like, what? And Julio says, yeah, there will be no hanky-panky in this house. And Tori is disgusted.
Yeah. Please don't say hanky-panky.
So good.
And Charlie's like, I'm out of here. At the mention of hanky-panky, goodbye.
Yeah, there's like a little like back and forth about how Nick is going on the trip. And Julio says, bedroom door open at all times. And that's when Charlie announces his departure. And Julio says, no hanky-panky till you're married. And Tori, the delivery on this too, she is, stop saying hanky-panky.
Yeah, and her face is perfect too. She's like, it's the perfect balance of being pissed off that he has said it again after she has already said no, and being fully disgusted that he's saying it at all. Just like,
yes.
And like, even Jane, Julio looks at her and she's like, no, just no. Like,
well, okay. So here's the thing, because I can fully imagine. Here's what's going on, right? Tori, our asexual queen, it just doesn't even want to think about the notion of sex at all.
Yes.
Right? So she's just like, no, right? Jane doesn't want to think of her kids doing that. Engaged in the hanky-panky, if you will.
Yeah.
And Julio's being practical and realistic.
Exactly, yes. I thought it was such a funny detail to have Jane also be like, no, yeah. Just fucking stop.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready to talk about
it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't.
It's so painful.
It hurts.
She's such a good sister. God damn it.
She goes up to his room and she's like, so you're telling people and you're not worried?
And she's already crying.
Already, like, the tears in her eyes and, like, her voice is shaky. And Charlie's like, about what? She's like, about getting bullied again. And I wrote it down. He says, it's not going to be like when I got outed. We just want people to know we're together. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Nick doesn't have to deal with what I did. I can protect him. I can make sure that he never feels pressured or stressed or scared. Everything's gonna be perfect.
And this is all spliced with Nick, like, walking home on cloud fucking 9.
Yeah, and it's...
Charlie, no. You cannot protect him from the world. You just can't. It's the same issue of he couldn't protect you from the world in season 1.
Yeah. And it's this other thing... and this is like a very teenager first love idea of like, I have Nick, we're in this relationship now, it's going to solve everything.
Yes.
Nothing else, like nothing is going to be wrong anymore. And it's just like knowing what's ahead. It's like, oh, but the worst is yet to come, Charlie, and it hurts. Like, it's just so hard to watch him like fully thinking, because he like genuinely believes it. It's not like he's like in denial. Like, he fully believes that everything's gonna be perfect and that he can protect Nick.
Yeah, this is legitimately what he thinks. He thinks that he, just by like being there and being supportive and making sure he's doing it all on his own time, that he's going to be able to like protect him from all of the like negativity that still might come from it, some of the negative feelings he's going to have throughout of it. And like, it's just,
it hurts me.
It hurts so much because like, obviously we want it to be true. Like, that's in a perfect world, but there are still people. And I think that like, we'll hear Nick saying this exact thing to him later, but like, there are always going to be the Bens and the Harrys and the bullies of the world. There's nothing that you can do about that.
Or even just like the people who are gonna like gawk.
Yes. Tori is tore up. She is us in this situation. You know, like she's feeling all of these things that we've just said. And like, how do you say that to him? He's doing so much better. He's been through so much. He's finally like seemingly, right, doing so much better. And how do you be there to support him and like, you know, help him through it, but also realistically tell him like, you're living in a dream world and you need to come back to reality without just completely breaking him all over again. You know, like it's such a hard position to be in.
Yeah, it's really, really rough. And I'm gonna transition us into something else because I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, please.
So, right, the episode ends on this heartbreaking note. But that means that now we can talk about our favorite quotes.
I would probably have the exact same one for this.
I had a few, but you know, I couldn't pick anything other than it'll be fine. She's an ally.
Same. The delivery, the setting with everybody there, the boys being all confused.
Yeah.
Kizzy's face. It's so good. Yeah, absolutely. Where did you fall on the scale?
I landed at like a 4.
Oh.
I was very close. So here's the thing. I feel like some of the ending kind of like balanced a lot of it out for me. I don't know. It didn't fully do it for me.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the episode, but it's just it's a 4.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm not sure that there's a single episode of this season that gets less than a 5 from me.
That's fair.
And this one I gave an 86, as in I am 86th. Ashley is out of stock.
All right.
We have no more Ashley.
That's fair. No, it's a good one. There's just something about it that I'm like, the end just kind of like absolutely guts me. It's a good one though. It's a really strong start to this season.
Which is a phenomenal season.
It's a very good season. And I am really excited that we're talking about it.
Yeah, it feels really good to be talking about season 2. I'm really excited to get into this season. We had a lot of comments and have had a lot of people message us and say that they really like it whenever we have guests on. And so we do have more guests lined up.
Something really exciting is that we have decided that we're going to be launching a Patreon in September. So keep an eye out on Instagram for some more details about that. And we'll be telling you more soon, but we're really excited and we think that it's going to really help us be able to like take some stuff to the next level.
Yeah.
We have a lot of visions of what we want this to be, and it's going to bring us closer to being able to like afford some of the logistics of actually doing that.
Yes.
And we have some very, very fun rewards that we're planning for you guys. Yeah. So that'll be really fun.
So more info on that coming.
Yes. And Instagram will be the place to look for that. And maybe Twitter, if Twitter A still exists, and B, if Ashley feels like it.
But Instagram for sure is home base. So
yes. We both use and like Instagram, so. All right. Well, that just about wraps us up for this episode. And of course, this is a bi-weekly podcast by 2 bisexuals. And we will be back in 2 weeks for season 2, episode 2, Family.
Woo! There's going to be a lot to talk about. If you want to follow us online, we are at Why Are We Cast on all social platforms. And if you like this, please consider rating and reviewing us.
And until next time, bye.
Bye.